Testing, testing. Am I live? Please let me know if I'm live. I can't quite see. Sometimes it shows me I am. Sometimes it shows me I'm not. Am I live? If I am live, please put a 0 inside of the chat below so I can actually see and tell that I am live. And just to give some housewarming housewarming things. So today we're going to be talking about how a mentorship student received two 3,500 per month monthly clients in the last 2 months of working together. Okay, that's about $7,000 in monthly recurring revenue in about under about 65 days. So I can't wait to kind of share how this individual, how she was able to do so. And before you even jump in, guys, so number one, if you're watching this thing live, go ahead and comment hashtag Team Live so I know that you're live and you're watching this thing, and I can actually make it more interactive. I can answer some questions, I can ask questions, I can even answer things that you put inside the comments. If you're watching this on the replay, write in hashtag Team Replay, and I will know that you're watching the replay, and it'll be great for you as well. Also, excuse me. If you want me to connect with you to answer some questions that you might have about growing your business, go ahead and write hashtag Team Connect. Now, at any time, please invite your friends to join this community. And finally, if you want some help growing your business, maybe you're tired of trying to figure things out on your own, you want to avoid a lot of the mistakes that most people make, go ahead and click the link inside of either the first comment or inside of the description, either above or below the video. I would love to book a call with you and see exactly how I can help you out, okay? If that's you, go on ahead and click on that link, book a call. I will talk to you as soon as possible. Now, let's kind of jump into this thing. So, number one, guys, we got to really work on our mindset. Hello, Dano. Hello, Harold. Hello. Great to see you guys. Great to see you guys here. If you're watching this, remember, comment, let me know. Hi. Exclamation points. Let me type that thing in. Hi. Ooh. Awesome. Let's jump into this thing, okay? So number one, guys, it starts with your mindset. Number one, you guys have to always be understanding, you get what you ask for. You get what you ask for in life. Closed mouths do not get fed. Now, what I basically mean by that is the only way you're going to be able to get $3,500, $4,000, $2,000, $6,000 per month per client is if you ask for it. Most people, when you look at their pricing list and you look at all their pricing stuff, the highest package they have is $1,500 per month. Very hard to get a $5,000 a month client if your highest package is $1,300. So you got to make sure that we ask for more money. Now, there is also a misconception about who can afford to pay you $5,000 per month. We're looking for anywhere between a 6-figure, 7-figure, or an 8-figure company, okay? Now, generally, the higher you go up and the higher you get closer to 8 figures, the more money they're going to pay you. If they're a 7-figure company or 8-figure company, they have a lot. They have enough money to pay you $5,000 now per month. Now, let's kind of even dig into this thing faster and even further. A lot of people that I'm noticing are having this fear of failure. And what generally tends to happen is they don't ask for what they want. They go after the lowest, caliber type clients. They make the least amount of money, and they end up not really reaching their goal. Instead, you have to always be thinking about success. Okay, not what happens if I fail, but more what happens when I win. What happens when I win? That is the kind of attitude that you need in order for you to be able to ask someone for the price that we're searching for. Okay, because if you don't believe that you're worth it, if you don't believe that someone can pay it, if you don't believe that you're actually going to be able to make it in business, you're going to stick more towards that $250, $300 per month quote. So we got to make sure that we can actually get what we want. At least when I was first getting started, I was so afraid of people saying no that I never really asked people for, above $500 a month. It was always $400 quotes. And it wasn't until I really started getting good and I really started believing in myself that I started being able to ask for higher than average quotes and make a lot more money in my business. Now, next thing is, guys, let's talk about sales. Okay? So when it comes to sales, you need to be comfortable sitting inside of pain, specifically your potential client's pain. So one major mistake that I see most people make, especially when we're trying to charge higher ticket prices, is that as soon as the potential client starts talking about how hard their accounting, their bookkeeping, or even whatever service you offer, how hard it is, Most people kind of like alleviate the pressure by like laughing. They have like this nervous laughter, especially as like accountants and bookkeepers. If you're like really, really nervous or really, really scared to kind of like talk to people, generally when someone says, "Oh, someone stole money from me and I didn't know because I didn't have any accounting, and like I didn't even know about it until 6 years later," then the bookkeeper or the accountant goes, "Ha ha ha," and it's just like the pressure is kind of dissipated, and the person's like, "Oh, it must not be that big of a deal." Versus when you start getting better at sales, as soon as someone says that something is wrong, instead of like laughing it off, you sit down deeper into that pain and you help them understand that, hey, this is a real problem. This is a big, big problem. And then next, what you do when you're starting to sit in someone's pain is you need to chunk down, meaning ask follow up questions that get people to talk about their pain even more. Hello, Andrea or Andrea. Hello, hello, Andrea. Hello, Andrea. Now, sitting down the pain. Okay, cool. So you haven't kept books in about 3 years. Okay. Well, can you tell me more about like why have you not? Okay. Oh, so you did try and get somebody, but it just didn't work out. Well, what do you mean it didn't work out? What happened? And they tell you more. Oh, okay, cool. Then like, what have you tried to do to fix this? Or since you hired and fired that person, and you keep diving deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and they keep telling you more and more and more about the pain that they're in, and it makes it very easy for you to just talk about the sales in a little bit. We'll talk about more about sales in a minute, but that's the number one thing when it comes to sales, and it comes to you trying to raise your price. You got to be able to sit inside of the pain. Next thing is, excuse me, you need to be comfortable talking about what you want. Oftentimes, like especially like when I was in corporate America, I was always trained where it was kind of like you kind of ask what you want, but then you kind of don't because you don't want to step on any toes and you don't really want to burn any bridges, and it's almost like you're playing defense for most of your life, right? Especially as like an accounting professional, and where we're watching over people's money, we're oftentimes taught to play defense. When in sales, you need to be thinking more about playing offense. That's asking for what you want, going for what you want, trying to take as much ground as possible, especially when we're talking about money. Okay, man, that's why sometimes for people watching, like people have this misconception that if you don't come from the accounting field and maybe you just got into accounting, you just got into bookkeeping, maybe you're like, from the nursing field, or maybe were a general manager of some place and you decided to start learning accounting and bookkeeping, they think that they're at a very, very big disadvantage. When that's not actually true. Oftentimes, if you come into this industry and you're more of an outsider, you have a higher chance of being able to make more money because you don't necessarily have the same belief systems that we do as accountants and bookkeepers, right? Oftentimes as accountants and bookkeepers, like we don't really see our service as being that valuable, and then we also have been trained to play defense, and then at the same time, like, you know, there's a lot of like lower self confidence that you generally get from being talked down to in your corporate career for like the last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. So when someone comes from a different industry and they have a better attitude, it's generally easier for them to ask for more money because they don't really have as much negative self talk going on. So it's the first thing we have to do is, number one, we have to get comfortable talking about what we want. Number two, you have to start knowing what you actually want. Start writing it down, like on goal sheets, vision boards. Like, what do you actually want? And know that, so when you actually go to the person, you're going to be able to go and make the money you want. For example, let's even take a step back. Yesterday, I was on a coaching call with two students, right? One who was her first day in the program, and another one who has been in the program for a little while. And we were basically going through a scenario where she had a potential client who she'd been working with for about a year. And that person was only paying her about $400 a month per restaurant location they had. And they only entrusted her with about one restaurant location. Okay, so what we basically did was, if the place had just opened about 6 other locations, okay, and they'd opened up 6 locations in the past year, but they'd only entrusted her with one at $400 a month. Now, most people, they would take that. What we said yesterday was, hey, why don't you see if you can actually go and take over all the roles that their CPA was doing outside of, like the tax return and, everything like that. And let's see if we can go and get the remaining, 6 stores or the remaining 5 stores. And she said, what, I can do that? But I'm not a CPA. I'm like, okay, who cares? Do you have a relationship with the person? She said, yeah. Okay. Is he frivolous with money or is he really tight with money? Oh, he spends a lot. Okay. When's the next time you can speak to him? Oh, he just texted me. Like, we're going to speak today. Okay. Now, what does the pricing calculator? I always give my students inside my mentorship program like a pricing calculator that shows them exactly how much the work is worth so that they know exactly what to charge. They have a lot more confidence when it comes to presenting that proposal to the person. And she basically says, well, the calculator says I should be charging about $1,000 a month. But, how do I bring that up and how do I do this? I was like, we just basically went through, put it on a Google Doc, like what it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to say, how to actually bring up the subject to them, how to actually go and, get more money. So not only was she able to, 1.5x her price to being about $1,000 per restaurant, but she got all 6 of the restaurants. So she went from making $400 a month on one client to $6,000 per month for the same client. And a lot of people are like, well, that I can't do that. Most of the people I work with only want to pay me like $100, $200. Whereas it's just, one, we don't ask what we want. Two, we don't really understand the opportunities that are in front of us. Three, we don't really have the skill set to be able to punch and press forward and press harder. So we generally don't ask. But instead, you need to ask, ask, ask. Be comfortable with people saying no, because no just stands for next opportunity. And as long as you can do that, you're going to make a heck of a lot more money. Now, that's also the value of being in like a program like mine where you have someone who's a little bit further ahead than you. She would never have been able to, ask for that much money because most people are scared of that. But instead, she was able to come to me and we just sat there together, built her confidence, showed her exactly how to do it, and now she's a $6,000 a month client, which is a little bit off topic, but those are the steps that are involved in that, guys. A huge amount of this is just asking for what you want. Hello, Tommy. Hello, Tommy. Great to see you. Okay, next thing, guys. If you guys understand that, go ahead and put down a 1 inside of the chat if you understand about sales, just at a base level. Tommy is a really good person at sales, guys. Tommy is a person who I have my email marketing through. I think what we're going to do is maybe do we're going to have a webinar or something where we talk about how to do email marketing for you guys, because it's a really misunderstood tool, but it's something that's really been beneficial for me and for some of my students. So yeah, we're going to probably do a webinar together about that so you guys can know exactly how to do email marketing. Okay, if you guys understand this principle about sales, put a 1 down below in the chat. I'm starting to see a couple of ones, so I'll move on to the next step and the next tip. Okay, next is about marketing, guys. So where do you go and even find clients like this? Number 1, you need to start really looking at the past. So most people have an extra $30,000 to $60,000 sitting in their past relationships. So in some cases, this could be a past client, it could be a past relationship, it could be a past employer. Now, when I say that, it don't necessarily mean that the past person has to pay you again or pay you like more than what they were paying. I'm saying that a lot of those people have friends that could pay you more money. Hello, April. I'm just seeing you, April. Hello. Okay, so number 1, you got to start thinking about treating your marketing kind of like investing. You invest a little bit of time now, and it keeps bringing more and more return over time. How most people do it is they put in some time here, and then they kind of fizzle out and stop. And then, a month later, they put in some energy, and then they kind of stop. Then they start, stop. And it never is enough to snowball. It never is enough to get them off the ground and really get their plane of success off of the runway. Instead, you need to be thinking about how can I put in a small, consistent amount of effort every single day so that when those opportunities come to fruition, I have, 10, 15, 20 people that are interested in working with me. Then from there, you just need to learn how to sell and close so that out of those 20 opportunities, you get, between 50 to 80% of those people to say yes at your target price. And if you're charging the price that you want, you generally won't even need 10 clients, 15 clients to go hit, 100K. You can get these higher dollar amount clients and you won't have to get, 15 clients to do so. Okay? So, but you have to make sure you're investing, okay? And investing can come in the form of goodwill, referrals, and the ability to charge larger rates. Those are returns that we're going for. And it's not very apparent, and it's not very quick how most of the stuff comes in returns to you. Now, if you do want a faster way to go and get clients, maybe you don't have a client, maybe you have had some clients, but they've been really small, you need to do two things, okay? The first thing is go look through your past, okay? So go look at anyone who's ever paid you money. So, who's ever paid you money for accounting or bookkeeping. Whether it's a past job, an employer, maybe someone from your QuickBooks Pro advisor, I don't know, maybe from college you did their books, go and look through them. Go find them on Facebook and find them on LinkedIn. If you can find them on LinkedIn and you're still connected to that person, they're your first connections, you can go and click on their profile and look at all of their friends on their friends list. Now, let's take an interim step is you need to make sure you get permission from that past person to use them as a reference. Very similar to how if you were going to get a job, you need 2 to 3 references. If you're going to try and get a client in this method, you need to make sure that person is giving you permission to utilize their name to go and advertise your services. Assuming that you have gotten permission, which is very easy, most people are going to say yes, even if they fired you in a fiery passion, they'll still say yes in a lot of cases because I don't know why, but people just do. So now that you have their permission, you're going to go through their LinkedIn. You're going to go find every single one of their connections that owns a business. Put those people on top of a spreadsheet. Okay, so you're going to have a list of people on the left-hand side. On the second column, you're going to have link to their profile. The third one is, did you send a connection request? Fourth is, did you actually talk to that person? 5 is, did you book a sales consultation with those people? Now, once you do that, once you have that list, go and friend request those people. It's very, very simple, very easy. Now, the connection message you're going to send is, hey, I see that X person, X reference name is a mutual connection. It would be great to connect. Once that person connects, the next message you're going to say is, how do you know X reference person? And they're probably going to say something like, we work together. We're best friends. He was my best man at my wedding. I used to date her back in college. XYZ thing. And then they're probably going to ask you, how do you know this reference person? And you're going to say, however you worked for them in the past. Next thing is you're just going to invite them to a consultation call to see if they want some help with their accounting or bookkeeping. Very simple, very straightforward, very quick, very easy. Now, the reason why we ask that person first if we can use them as a reference is because oftentimes the people who you're speaking to are going to go back to that reference person and actually ask, how is this person? Is this person really friendly? Is this person good? And they're going to actually ask that person for their perspective on you. Then they're either going to say yes, they're going to say no, and they're going to hop on a call and get a client. One of my students did this inside the program. His name is Mike. Super, super, super killer guy. He did that very simple, very straight. He got 2 consultation calls from one of his current clients. He got, I think it was 4 consultation calls from his church that he was doing work for. So that's about 6 total leads in 1 week. And they're all booked for, I think they're booked for either tomorrow or early next week. But it was all off of just going back through past relationships and seeing where those low-hanging fruits are. Okay? Now, that is how you start getting multiple clients for $3,500 a month, $4,000 a month, $6,000 a month. Now, as always, if you have any questions that I wasn't able to answer inside of this group training, write #connect. I'll be sure to reach out to you and answer them as soon as possible. Next thing, once again, guys, if you want some help growing your business, if you're ready for some help, you're tired of maybe trying it yourself, or you just don't know what to do and you want to walk with someone who's been ahead of where you are so you can go reach your goal in the shortest time possible, go on ahead and click out the link either above on the video or below the video or inside the comments. It's going to take you to my calendar, schedule a time. Let's see how I can help you out. I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy.